Well, thank you to the commission and to the members of the public that are here today. My name is Mark Newmanville. I'm the city clerk for the City of Berkeley. I have worked in the city clerk's office for 14.5 years, and I have been the city clerk since 2012. Also, our other primary staff in the city clerk department are April Richardson, assistant city clerk, and Sarah Bunting, assistant city clerk, and they're assisting me in our support of the Independent Redistricting Commission. So now that the community has been able to meet the commission, we'll talk a little bit about the redistricting process in Berkeley. So to orient you to the current electoral system, Berkeley has 8 city council districts, and it has 8 city council members that are elected by the voters in each of those districts. The members of the city council serve 4-year terms. The mayor in Berkeley is elected at large or citywide. The mayor also serves a 4-year term. The mayor is the 9th member of the city council and is also the presiding officer of the city council. And this map here shows the current city council districts that were adopted in the previous redistricting process. So, redistricting is the process and action of drawing or redrawing boundaries for electoral districts. Redistricting is conducted at all levels of government: federal, state, county, city, and special districts. Also, some school districts have sub-districts, but not BUSD. Local redistricting is nonpartisan because local elected office is nonpartisan, and political party affiliation is not considered in the redistricting process. For Berkeley, the task is only to adjust the city council districts. No other elected offices are directly impacted by this redistricting process. And of course, redistricting occurs after each decennial census every 10 years because new population counts require that districts be adjusted to equalize the population in each district. The process, as I said, is a nonpartisan process, but the results of the process could have political impacts on representation and policy matters. Since the new boundaries are in place for 10 years, it is important to have a good, thorough, and fair process for drawing the boundaries. This slide shows the primary required criteria for Berkeley redistricting as stated in the Berkeley City Charter. Equal population is self-explanatory. We take the total population of the city, divide that by 8, and that is the target number for each district to have as its new population. But the equal population does not have to be exact to the single number. There can be some minor variation in the population of the 8 districts. Contiguous means that there cannot be islands. It means that a district must be fully connected to itself. So you can't have the main part of a district here and then have some little island that's not connected also be part of that district. The district has to be completely contiguous to itself. Compact. Compact is a criteria that describes the shape of the district. Generally, districts that are more compact are preferred versus districts that are spread out in odd shapes with narrow fingers extending out to either include or exclude certain areas. Communities of interest is a very important criteria, and we're going to talk about that in more detail later on in the presentation. Geography and topography are included to direct that significant natural features in a city be used as boundaries, and generally this would mean things, you know, like the ridge line of a hill, or a major, if there was a river running through the middle of the city, which Berkeley doesn't have, but still that major natural features be used as boundaries. And then major traffic arteries is self-explanatory as well. Currently, in the current districts, you know, University Avenue is a boundary, Spruce Street is a boundary, and Sacramento Street are used as boundaries because those major traffic arteries are sort of commonly known, well-established ways to separate the districts. So these are the many levels of legal requirements that govern the redistricting process in Berkeley. And the commission has legal support from the city attorney's office that will help to ensure that both the process and the maps are meeting all of these requirements. Previously in Berkeley, redistricting maps were prohibited from drawing a sitting council member out of their district. However, now, based on state law and also what is in the city charter, the residence of a sitting council member is prohibited from being a consideration in the drawing of a new map. So the purpose of the charter amendment and the new state laws is to say, we want the best districts possible, regardless of where the current elected officials happen to reside. So, brief history. In 1986, there was an amendment to the city charter that changed the city council from being elected at large or citywide to being elected by district. Before the charter amendment, all 8 council members were elected citywide, and they could reside anywhere. Redistricting, this will be the 4th redistricting process since that charter amendment. And, you know, due to the politically contentious redistricting processes that followed the 2000 and 2010 census counts, the city charter was amended by the voters in 2016 to create a community commission that would be responsible for adjusting the boundaries, and it removed that responsibility from the city council. The city council used to be the entity that was responsible for approving the redistricting map. So the 13 members on the commission and the community in general is part of this new process. This is the first time Berkeley is using a community commission to redraw the council district boundaries. The ballot measure that was adopted by voters in 2016 to create the Independent Redistricting Commission contains specific direction on the process to select the members of the commission. Prior to the start of the application process, there was significant public outreach in order to create a large and diverse applicant pool. The city received over 130 applications, and ultimately 80 people qualified for the random draw selection. That was the random draw. So the eight district commissioners and their alternates were selected by random draw. The ballot measure has several provisions aimed at creating a process and a commission membership that is driven by the community and not by elected officials and political insiders. The care taken in the application, selection, and eligibility processes show the importance of the work of the Redistricting Commission. As discussed previously, there are many legal mandates the Commission must follow in the process of adjusting the council district maps. All of these requirements are important, and it is the difficult task of the Commission to factor all of these requirements together when adjusting the boundaries. In particular, for the theme of this meeting, the second bullet is important because the key to providing the Commission with the information it needs to adjust the boundaries comes from receiving input from the community. The city charter has several eligibility requirements that I referenced earlier and that you see here. Some of the requirements were immediate disqualifiers for applicants. If you were the family member of an elected official, or if you were the staff of a current elected official, or if you were a current elected official, of course, you couldn't serve either. So there was certain immediate disqualifiers, and then there was some eligibility criteria where people just had to make additional disclosures, like if you had made a contribution to a candidate for office in Berkeley in the last 4 years. So the 8 district commissioners selected by the random lottery, that was to ensure that there was some representation from each of the 8 council districts. And the at-large commissioners, the 5 at-large commissioners selected, are intended to increase community representation to ensure that all voices are included. The 8 district commissioners spent several hours over multiple meetings discussing and reviewing applications in order to increase diversity on the commission and ensure broader representation. Alternate commissioners for the district commissioners were selected by lottery, and the alternates for the at-large commissioners were selected by the district commissioners. And there's processes established in the city charter and the municipal code to fill vacant seats on the commission by using the alternate commissioners. So the process resulted in a representative commission that can adjust council boundaries in a fair and equitable manner. And there you see the commissioners on the left that you met earlier in the introductions, and then the breakdown of the demographics on the right. And this map shows the approximate location of the residences of the 13 members of the commission. As has been stated, the participation of the community is essential to achieving the best result possible in Berkeley's redistricting process. So here we are back again talking about a community of interest. So the term community of interest is a technical term used in redistricting regulations when discussing different groups and communities within the city that have shared characteristics and that are important for the commission to consider when drawing the boundaries. These communities of interest are defined by smaller geographic units and are not citywide. You can't really have a citywide community. I mean, for the purposes of redistricting, you can't really have a citywide community of interest. It's generally a smaller subset that you can sort of draw a border around and say this small area here, this community of interest should be kept together within a city council district. These are some examples of what may constitute a community of interest. This is by no means inclusive. There are many, many more types of communities of interest. And as it notes on the slide, a person may be in more than one community of interest. So the commission really needs your help. The commission has to rely on the community to tell them about their communities of interest. Communities of interest are a key component of how the districts are drawn, but they can only be a factor if people within those communities are participating in the process. So as you listen to us talk about communities of interest, think to yourself, you know, what is my community of interest and how would I describe it to someone? All testimony on communities of interest will be considered. Letters, emails, public comment at meetings. But the best way to tell the commission about your community of interest is to use our community of interest form that is on the commission website. The form was also sent electronically to over 400 community partners. You can contact commission staff if you need a form sent to you. The form itself just has 4 simple questions on it, and it's very easy to complete. So on our timeline, currently we are on just the second dot. Actually, we're between the second and third dot on the timeline. So we have a long way to go. We don't have a long time to get there, though. The census data is expected to be released by the end of September. The redistricting tools and the public submission process will be live in the fall. Yes, the public can create their own maps and submit those maps directly to the commission. Mapping software and easy to use redistricting tools will be made available for public use. And there'll be much more information on that later in the fall. So we have some key milestones. The city charter has a deadline of April 1st, 2022 for the commission to complete its map, or 9 months after census data is released, which would be in maybe July of 2022. And so while the charter does allow more time past April 1st, the commission is adhering to the April 1st deadline in order to have the map ready to be used in the November 2022 election. If it goes far beyond the April 1st deadline, then the new map would not be able to be used until the 2024 election. So the goal is to have the map adopted and ready for use for 2022. The final step in the redistricting process is formal adoption by the city council. This is because the map will become a law in the city of Berkeley, and only the city council has the authority to adopt municipal laws. However, the city council's approval is essentially a formality because, like I said, the charter, the city charter has prohibited the city council from making any changes to the map that the commission adopts. So we're asking the community to stay connected and engaged. There are many ways to participate. As I said earlier, doing a community of interest form is one of the best ways to engage in the process. The public can submit their comments and input in any number of different ways: mail, email, public comment at a meeting. And again, the commission asks that you please talk to your friends and neighbors to get them engaged in the process. The commission can only do its best work with the help of the Berkeley community.